Hello, everyone. Hello in America and in the globe, everywhere else in the world that's listening to this. But I guess what I'm about to say is kind of targeted or directed towards those in the North American Union region. And that is while you're worried about the environment and the water and the fish from the BP oil spill, and you're worried about illegals not being fed and getting health care, while your other fellow tax-paying citizens have no health care and are getting by day to day, and their unemployment benefits are running out because international bankers have basically blown out the economy by design and stolen their wealth, their retirement, and everything else that goes along with it. And you're crying for your leaders to do something about it. I think you should be more concerned with the end game. And the end game is an all-out financial collapse. Hyperinflation, food riots, national emergency centers, or i.e. FEMA camps, a crap load of illegals being let in at one time. Yes, they do come over the border, but I'm talking about an influx, a large influx of drug dealers and murderers coming over the border within a short period of time, along with this oil spill and death winds and whatever else is possible. You should be worried more about your own personal safety and freedom. I have 3 articles that I'm going to cover in this video. I might stretch it into 2 videos just because there's just so much information here. I don't think that I know that I can't cover it in 10 minutes, so let's just see how it goes. I have 3 articles, like I said. It's this first article, which is titled, Is Homeland Security Expecting a Major Terror Attack? And this is from June 17th, 2010 from the Activist Post. And there was 2 other articles that, I've just caught up. I'm covering all these because I just thought it was kind of weird how all 3 of these articles kind of came up around the same time. And like I said, you got the death winds down there, and you got the military closing everybody off. And then, of course, you have down in Atlanta and those humongous amounts of coffins. And then Alabama, they have the coffins and the FEMA coffins. And then down in the Southwest and the Arizona, you have all these crypts, underground crypts, and then also coffins and turning veterans memorial cemeteries into mass underground. Well, they're all underground, but you know what I'm saying, just massive graves, mass graves. So the government is preparing for something, and they're doing this up here in my neck of the woods in northwest Indiana as well, with FEMA talking to the local county about mass casualties and deaths by either a collapse in the economy, they said the Ford plant, which is up here by me, or by a plague, by, of course, we all know it's all man-made, right, by Baxter and the pharmaceutical companies that they're the ones that unleash these viruses and that. And then, of course, they're the ones that come in with the vaccines. So it's going to be either that, guys. It's going to be one or the other that's going to kick this off, as this website likes to call it, when the shit hits the fan, because that's exactly the phrase that most of the people that are, quote, awake use, is when the shit hits the fan, because it's inevitable, right? It's inevitable that the economy will collapse. It is inevitable that 300 million slaves are going to take to the streets because there's no food in the stores, and if there is, they can't afford it because their Federal Reserve notes have lost their value significantly over a short period of time. They have no work. Unemployment benefits are run out. The chemtrail spraying with nanoparticles and possibly biological agents will continue to be sprayed on them. We have the sodium fluoride coming in from China now. So now we're not just getting, it's like, I saw this one video with this poor woman. She had good intentions, but she was like, this is insane. We're getting fluoride from China. What happened to American fluoride, damn it? It's like, when did we get to this point where we're begging for American-made fluoride, made proudly in the USA, instead of Chinese fluoride? It's just insanity. But yeah, so this is the third article over here. Huge number of disaster drills held throughout America. And then this article is titled National Guard Training for Riot Control Mass Detentions. So this will be a two-part video. I'll kick into this first one and cover the other two in the second video. So here we go. It says, this is written by Eric Blair, and it says, there are so many terrorist drills lately with many more planned over the coming months. You'd think the Department of Homeland Security was preparing for something big. If this were the Bush years, we would be on red alert, and the fear volume would be cranked up to 11. To their credit, the mainstream media is still trying to sell fear bundled as white racist homegrown Tea Party terrorists, but no one's buying it anymore. Of course, they're referring to the IRS bomber Joseph Stack, and then the Hootery, which they had a federal agent in there, which basically set him up. So yes, it is all about that, demonizing conservatives and white people, and But it says the public remained relatively unfazed by the heavily propagandized attacks of the Christmas underwear bomber, which was also working for the intelligence agencies openly. Joseph Stack and the Pentagon shooter. Oh yeah, don't forget the Pentagon shooter too, whose weapon was purchased, who was actually. I don't know how the guy got it, but that gun was traced back to a police force in Kentucky or Tennessee or something like that. After all that, the only prize was installing some full body scanners to make Michael Chertoff, former head of DHS, a rich man. That's right, the Chertoff group. The elite will need to do much better than to elicit the necessary terror on the public that would be required to push through their immediate draconian agenda, now well publicized, and that is, of course, enforce austerity or frugality, which is another word I've heard lately, measures via cap and trade taxes spurred by the Gulf oil disaster. That's right, people. This BP oil disaster will give the oil companies, all of them, not the right, but it'll give them the excuse to raise gas prices and get the American people, the sheeple, feeling so guilty about driving their cars to their shitty jobs that they'll be willing to take this cap and trade or scam and steal tax. Eliminate free internet under the guise of net neutrality and cybersecurity via the Cybersecurity Act, which they are pressing for. Continue, check out my other video on the internet with the Great Wall of China's censorship and Australia taking on the reins. Continue bankster rape and pillage of Middle America with consent of Congress. They're talking about the bailout, declaring martial law unless the bill is passed. Round up citizens without Miranda rights who question the government. That's right. If you're a conspiracy theorist, you believe in small government or you believe in no government, you are a terrorist. And the Patriot Act and the detention centers and torturing, that is all for you. Track the public with biometric national ID cards under the cover of immigration reform. That's right. Now this immigration reform has nothing to do with stopping illegal immigrants from coming over the border. It's about tracking the slaves in America and the U.S. region of the North American Union. So that's what it's for, the biometric national ID card. Continued population control plan. Well, in the New World Order and the Brave New World, killing you is all part of the plan. That is the end game. So please join me for part 2 of this series.